Visha said, Manalan, we're still in that. We haven't talked about shoes at all. So here we are on page Pei Zion. You can hear me all right, correct? Rabbi, you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's hard to get tune you in. Okay, now so we're going to start with the top. It says V'nimsiki makom klipos hu mamash be'emset. So we just went through where the klipos are located. That they're facing towards the panimi, the or panimi. Bein or panimi, the nukva the zer anpin, between the or panimi of malchus, the bein or makif shalo atzma. V'lechein afal pi shamarno, that even though we said shaklipos ne'achazim benukva the zer anpin, we have that phrase that the klipos or actually have a hold of the female aspect, which is malchus of zer anpin, v'gam bezer anpin atzmo, and also with zer anpin himself. Hine enim yonkim bezer anpin atzmo, but the attack is not just on zer anpin, but it's also on, it goes through the nukva. Ela be'emsos nukva, but it only goes through the medium of the nukva zer anpin. V'shehi karova ala chitzonim yosim zer anpin, because she's closer to she's on the outside next to the klipos. Number mem tes at the bottom, he says the nimsiki makom moshe v'klipos v'chitzonim hu bein ha'or ha'panimi shal malchus the bein or ha'makif shalo daiku. So he said specifically where it is. V'hu mekevin sheshnei oros elu hema oros hayoser choloshim, since these are the weakest of the lights, that is the malchios. So it's also the least significant. This is the smallest place of Kedusha, he uses that language. So also the klipos, which are the kitzonius, they're there too. Kevin Shagavan saying the klipos rock as a hachiza hamuchrach lechem, and the reason why they're there, so that are part of the equation of creation, so that they get the minimum amount of light coming from that place. So we have a lashon that says that they're actually holding on to zer anpin himself. We're not trying to say that they're actually stuck onto zer anpin. But actually they're standing there next to the nook of zer anpin. And the zer anpin, and everything they pull out of zer anpin, who rab emsoas a nook the zer anpin. So the zer anpin is pouring into the nook, and they're taking from the nook what gets put in from zer anpin, I guess. Because that's really where they're at. She's in between. She's a shield. But there's no way to say that in fact that they actually are sucking off of zer anpin. So the reason why they're only feeding off of malchus, is because of the proximity. Yosef b'mashahem kurovim al zer anpin, and it's more than how they're close to zer anpin. Shahare oras malchus mapsikim bein hachitzayni de bein oras shel zer anpin. So they actually strike, they interrupt, or they make a barrier between hachitzayni de bein oras shel zer anpin. So that's what malchus does. So therefore the chitzonim can't actually get to zer anpin himself. But everything that they have actually comes through malchus. So you see how important that a wife is to a man. She really protects him from the worst elements of the kitzonim. Which goes, they're right there. So therefore they're nursing or feeding off of the malchus. The zer anpin, more than from zer anpin. Now let's see if we can read the top part of this, and for today. So now we're on page Peches, reading across the top, and it says like this: So now you can understand something we were talking about before. So just imagine that you had the the greatest light of the makif was right next to the light of kan Ansel or Panimi, the Nukva Dezer Anpin. In other words, it would be the makif, the biggest makif would be right next to the smallest Panimi. Hoya HaKlipos Krovim Hala Or HaGodol Azeh, they would be very close to this tremendous light. So therefore Hashem put the makif there, which is the least significant makif, the smallest one. In relationship to all of this is the smallest. Shehu or makif nukva, because this is the makif of Malchus. The kitzonim and the klipos could be in between the two most insignificant parts. Bein or panimi hakadm shebekulam, that's the smallest of the lights of the lights of the oros panimi. Bein or makif hakadm shebekulam, also of the makifim, it's the smallest too. V'vishar ha'oros ha'makifim v'chapanimim ha'yoser gedolim, so those lights which are greater, his rachkum and klipos are pushed further and further away from the klipos. Called echad kvi erik gadluso, so each one according to its relationship and how big it is. Kach erich yisrachkus mehem. So the same thing we have is that when we come to the that their distance from them, they're distant from each other. So that you see that this is a phrase that's a little hard to understand on the surface. So you see that talking in terms of the panimis, that's easy to understand that. Hey, or panimi. So you look at the or panimi, it says that Malchus surrounds everything. Hey, or makif, and also the or makif. Now that's hard to understand because we understand that the makif of Atik is going to be surrounding everything else, and certainly not Malchus. But he has the Tiv brings us an explanation, and we'll see that, God willing, the next time. Let me just mark this so that I don't get